I was dying of cancer when my husband announced he was marrying my best friend. Let me say that again, because even now, months later, it still doesn't feel real. I was lying in my hospital bed at Chicago Memorial Hospital, bald, weak, barely able to lift my head from the pillow after my fourth round of chemotherapy. And my husband walked in with my best friend to tell me they were getting married. My name is Simone Wallace. I'm 32 years old. Or at least, I was 32 when this happened. I'm the mother of 6-year-old twins, Caleb and Sienna. I used to have thick, natural hair that I wore in twists. I used to have smooth, dark skin that glowed. I used to have a body that was strong and healthy. Cancer took all of that from me. But what my husband Jamie did, that took something even deeper. That took my soul. Let me take you back to that moment. The moment that changed everything. It was a Thursday afternoon. I remember because Thursdays were when they changed my IV bags. The fluorescent lights in my hospital room buzzed overhead, making everything look harsh and cold. I was wearing a hospital gown that hung off my skeletal frame like clothes on a hanger. I had just thrown up for the third time that day. My body felt like it was burning from the inside out. The chemo was destroying me. The doctors said I had stage 4 breast cancer that had spread to my bones, my liver, my lungs. They gave me 2 to 3 months to live. Maybe 4 if I was lucky. Lucky. That's funny, isn't it? I heard the door open. I turned my head, even that small movement exhausted me, and saw Jamie walk in. My husband of 7 years. The man I fell in love with in college, the father of my babies. He wasn't alone. Kendra Morrison walked in beside him. My best friend since freshman year at Northwestern University. My maid of honor. The woman who held my hand through morning sickness when I was pregnant with the twins. The woman who brought me homemade soup when the chemo made me too sick to eat. "Hey, Simone," Jamie said, shoving his hands in his pockets. He did that when he was nervous. I knew all his tells, or at least I thought I did. "Hey," I whispered. My throat was raw from throwing up. "What's going on? Is everything okay with the kids?" "The kids are fine," Jamie said. "They're with my mom." I relaxed a little. Caleb and Sienna were my whole world. Even as I lay dying, all I could think about was them. Who would braid Sienna's hair the way she liked? Who would help Caleb with his math homework? Who would kiss their foreheads at night and tell them they were loved? "So, what brings you both here?" I asked, trying to smile. It hurt to smile. Everything hurt. Jamie and Kendra exchanged a look. It was quick, but I caught it. A look that said they knew something I didn't. A look that made my stomach drop. "We wanted to talk to you about something," Jamie said. He still wasn't looking at me. He was looking at the floor, at the walls, at the IV stand, anywhere but my eyes. "Okay," I said slowly. "What is it?" Kendra stepped forward then. Her hair was done. She had makeup on. She looked beautiful and healthy and alive. Everything I wasn't anymore. "Simone," she said softly, using that gentle voice she always used when she was about to say something she knew would upset me. "We care about you so much. You know that, right?" Ice water flooded my veins. "What's going on?" Jamie finally looked at me. "I wanted to tell you in person, Simone. I thought it would be better than you finding out some other way." "Finding out what?" My heart monitor started beeping faster. "Kendra and I are getting married," Jamie said. Just like that. Like he was telling me he bought groceries. "Next month. Small ceremony, just family?" The world stopped spinning. I stared at him. Then at Kendra. Then back at him. Surely I had heard wrong. Surely the chemo had affected my hearing. Surely this wasn't happening. "What did you just say?" I whispered. "I know this is hard to hear," Jamie continued. And I noticed he was speaking faster now, like he wanted to get the words out before he lost his nerve. "But Simone, you have to understand. The doctors said you only have a few months left. The kids need stability. They need a mother figure who can actually be there for them." I couldn't breathe. The room was spinning. "I'm not dead yet," I managed to say. "I'm right here, Jamie, right here, fighting for my life." "I know," he said, and had the audacity to look sympathetic. "And I've been here supporting you through all of it. But I have to think about the future, about Caleb and Sienna. They need a mother," I interrupted, my voice getting stronger with anger. They have a mother, me. I'm their mother. Simone, please don't make this harder than it has to be, Kendra said, stepping closer to the bed. That's when I saw it. The ring. A huge diamond on her left hand, catching the fluorescent lights and sparkling like it was mocking me. I stared at that ring. How long? I asked quietly. What? Jamie said. How long have you two been together? I looked up at them. How long have you been sleeping with my best friend while I've been in here fighting for my life? It's not like that, Kendra said quickly, tears filling her eyes. Simone, please, you have to understand. We didn't plan this. It just happened. Things don't just happen, I said, my voice sharp as broken glass. You make choices. You chose to betray me, both of you. We were both grieving, Jamie said, and I could tell he had rehearsed this. I was losing my wife. Kendra was losing her best friend. We were both in pain, and we leaned on each other for support. It started innocently, just talking, comforting each other. But then you fell in love, I finished for him, my voice dripping with sarcasm. How beautiful, how romantic, my husband and my best friend brought together by my cancer. Don't say it like that, Kendra said, crying now. Real tears rolling down her perfectly made-up face. Simone, I never wanted to hurt you. I was trying to be there for Jamie during the hardest time of his life. He was falling apart, watching you suffer. I was falling apart, watching my best friend die. We found comfort in each other. Comfort, I repeated. Is that what you call it? We're not bad people, Jamie said, his voice getting defensive now. We're human. We're dealing with an impossible situation. Yes, maybe the timing isn't ideal. Isn't ideal? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Jamie, I'm not even dead yet. You brought your new fiancé to my deathbed to announce your wedding. How is that anything close to ideal? I thought it would be better coming from us, he said. I thought you'd want to know. Want to know what? I was shaking now, my whole body trembling with rage. Want to know that the two people I loved most in the world have been playing house while I've been puking my guts out? Want to know that my children are already calling her Mama Kay like I'm already gone? Kendra's face went pale. They told you about that? Sienna mentioned it during your last visit, I said. She was so excited. She said, Mama Kay is teaching me how to braid hair. She didn't understand why I started crying. Simone, I would never try to replace you, Kendra said, reaching for my hand. I yanked it away. I'm just trying to help. The kids need someone, and you're dying, I finished for her. I'm dying. You can say it. We all know it's true. The kids are already adjusting to the situation, Jamie said. They like having Kendra around. She's good with them. And honestly, Simone, you should be grateful that they'll have someone who loves them when you're gone. Grateful, I repeated. The word tasted like poison in my mouth. You want me to be grateful that you're replacing me before I'm even in the ground? We're trying to be respectful about this, Jamie said, and I could see his patience was wearing thin. The mask was slipping. We could have just waited until you passed and then gotten together quietly. But I wanted to be honest with you. I wanted to give you the respect of knowing the truth. Respect, I said. You don't know the meaning of that word. I've been by your side through all of this, Jamie said, his voice rising now. I've been here for every doctor's appointment, every chemo session. I've held your hair back while you vomited. I've cleaned up after you. I've done everything a husband should do. And now you want a medal for it? I asked. You want me to thank you for doing the bare minimum while you were planning your next wedding behind my back? It wasn't like that, Kendra insisted. Simone, please try to understand. We fought our feelings for so long. We knew it was wrong, and we knew the timing was terrible, but love doesn't wait for the perfect moment. Love, I said bitterly. Don't you dare call this love. What would you call it then? Jamie challenged. Two people finding each other in the darkest moment of their lives? Two people who understand each other's pain? Yes, the situation is complicated. Yes, it's messy. But it's real, Simone. What Kendra and I have is real. I looked at them standing there together. Jamie with his hand on the small of Kendra's back. Kendra with tears streaming down her face. Both of them waiting for me to give them my blessing. waiting for me to make this easy for them. Get out, I said quietly. Simone, Jamie started. Get out. I screamed it this time, loud enough that a nurse passing in the hallway stopped and looked in. Get out of my room! Get out! Get out! You're being unreasonable, Jamie said, grabbing Kendra's hand and pulling her toward the door. I was trying to be respectful by telling you face to face instead of behind your back. Respectful? I could barely get the word out. You think this is respectful? We'll talk when you've calmed down, Jamie said. When you're thinking more clearly. I'm thinking perfectly clearly, I said. Clear enough to see exactly who you are. They left. The door closed behind them with a soft click that sounded like a gunshot in the quiet room. I lay back against my pillows, my chest heaving. My heart monitor was going crazy, the green line jumping and spiking on the screen. A nurse rushed in, her face full of concern. Mrs. Wallace, are you all right? Your heart rate is extremely elevated. I'm fine, I said through gritted teeth. I wasn't fine. I was the furthest thing from fine. But I needed to be alone. The nurse looked uncertain, but eventually nodded and left, closing the door softly behind her. I stared at the ceiling tiles. 42 of them. I had counted them so many times over the past 3 months that I knew them by heart. 42 tiles between me and the sky. Between me and freedom. Between me and death. The doctors had been clear with me. Stage 4 breast cancer, aggressive, metastasized. The chemo was a last-ditch effort, but everyone knew the truth. I was dying. I had accepted it, made peace with it, written letters to my children to open on their birthdays, made arrangements for my funeral, said goodbye to the life I thought I would have. But that was when I thought I was leaving my children in good hands, in Jamie's hands. I thought he would mourn me, miss me, tell Caleb and Sienna stories about their mother. Keep my memory alive. I didn't know he was already planning to replace me. Something happened to me in that moment, lying in that hospital bed, staring at those 42 ceiling tiles. Something inside me shifted. Something primal. Something fierce. I didn't want to die anymore, not because I was afraid of death. I had made peace with that darkness, but because I would be damned, absolutely damned, if I let Jamie and Kendra win. I would be damned if I let them play happy family with my children while I rotted in the ground. No, if I was going down, I was taking them down with me. Listen, I need you to stop right here and do something for me. If this story is already making your blood boil, if you're feeling what I felt in that moment, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Because what happens next is going to blow your mind. Trust me, you don't want to miss a single second of this. The next morning, Dr. Okonkwo came for his rounds. He was a tall Nigerian man in his 50s with kind eyes and steady hands. He had been my oncologist since my diagnosis 4 months ago. How are we feeling today, Simone? He asked, checking my chart. I need to know the truth, I said. My voice was steady now. Clear. No sugarcoating, no false hope. How long do I really have? Dr. Okonkwo looked up from the chart. His eyes met mine, and I saw him make a decision. He pulled up a chair and sat down beside my bed. Based on your latest scans, he said slowly, I would estimate 2 to 3 months. Perhaps 4 if we're fortunate. The tumors aren't responding to the chemotherapy as we had hoped. The cancer is progressing. I'm so sorry, Simone. Don't be sorry, I said. Just be honest with me. Is there any chance at all, that I could beat this? Dr. Okonkwo was quiet for a long moment. In medicine, we never say never, he finally said. I've seen things in my 30 years as an oncologist that science cannot explain. Spontaneous remission. Cases where tumors shrink for no medical reason we can identify. But Simone, I don't want to give you false hope. The statistics in your case are... I don't care about statistics, I interrupted. I just need to know it's possible. Anything is possible, Dr. Okonkwo said gently. But please, prepare yourself for... Thank you, doctor, I said. That's all I needed to hear. After he left, I lay in my bed and made a decision. I was going to fight. Not with chemo. Not with radiation. Not with any treatment the doctors could give me. I was going to fight with pure spite. With rage. With the burning, overwhelming desire to see the look on Jamie's face when I walked into his wedding alive and well. The human body is a strange and wonderful thing. Science can explain a lot, but not everything. They can't explain why some people survive things that should kill them. They can't explain why willpower and determination can sometimes do what medicine cannot. Over the next 2 weeks, something impossible started to happen to me. I felt different, stronger. The constant gnawing pain that had been my companion for months started to fade. Not completely, but enough that I could sleep without morphine. Enough that I could eat without immediately throwing up. I didn't tell anyone, not the nurses, not Dr. Okonkwo. Especially not Jamie, who came by once a week out of what I assumed was guilt or obligation. I played my part, weak, dying, defeated. But inside, I was planning. It was during one of these planning sessions, lying in my hospital bed pretending to sleep while my mind raced, that I heard it. A conversation from the room next to mine. The walls were thin in the oncology ward. I could hear almost everything. A woman's voice. Older, tired, defeated. "I don't have anyone," the voice was saying. Probably talking to a nurse or social worker. "No family, no friends, no one to claim me when I'm gone. When I die, I don't want any funeral, no service. Just cremate me and scatter the ashes somewhere. Don't waste money on a burial no one will attend." My eyes opened. I waited until late that night, when the hospital was quiet and the nurses were busy with other patients. Then, moving slowly and carefully, I disconnected my IV, put on my robe, and shuffled to the room next door. The woman in the bed was probably in her mid-60s. Her skin was a deep brown, lined with age and illness. Her hair was gray and wispy, but her eyes, when they opened and looked at me, were sharp and alert and full of a sadness I recognized. "Who are you?" she asked, her voice rough. "My name is Simone," I said, leaning against the doorframe for support. I was still weak, even if I was getting stronger. "I'm in the room next door. I heard you talking earlier." "Eavesdropping is rude," the woman said, but there was no real anger in her voice, just a tired amusement. "I know, I'm sorry." I moved closer to the bed. "What's your name?" "Rochelle," the woman said. "Rochelle Bennett. And before you ask, yes, I'm dying. Pancreatic cancer. Stage 4. They give me maybe 3 weeks." "I'm dying too," I said. "Breast cancer, also stage 4. They give me 2 to 3 months." "Well, ain't we a pair?" Rochelle said with a bitter laugh that turned into a cough. I waited for the coughing to subside, then said, "You mentioned you don't have any family?" Rochelle's expression hardened. "That's none of your business, sweetheart." "You're right," I said. "It's not. But I want to ask you something. Something that's going to sound absolutely insane." Rochelle raised an eyebrow. "I'm dying of one of the most painful cancers known to man. I've got nothing but time. Might as well hear something interesting before I go." I took a deep breath. This was crazy. This was absolutely out of my mind crazy. But desperate times called for desperate measures. "How would you feel," I said slowly, carefully, "about helping me fake my death?" The silence that followed was so complete that I could hear both of our heart monitors beeping in rhythm with each other. Then Rochelle started to laugh. It was a rough, wheezing laugh that turned into another coughing fit, but when she caught her breath, her eyes were sparkling with something I hadn't seen there before. Interest, curiosity, maybe even excitement. "Girl," Rochelle said when she could speak again, "you better sit your skinny behind down and tell me everything, because that's the most interesting thing anyone has said to me in 20 years. So I sat, and I told Rochelle everything. About Jamie, about Kendra. About how they claimed they were brought together by grief. Him grieving his dying wife, her grieving her dying best friend. About the engagement announcement at my deathbed. About my twins calling another woman mama. About the wedding planned for next month. Rochelle listened to it all without interrupting. When I finished, she was quiet for a long moment, just staring at me with those sharp eyes. "That's the most trifling, low-down, dirty thing I've ever heard," Rochelle finally said. "And sweetheart, I lived through the 70s in Detroit. I've seen some trifling men. I've seen some backstabbing women. But what you just described, that takes the cake, eats it, and asks for seconds." "So you understand why I need to do this?" I asked. "Oh, I understand," Rochelle said. "What I don't understand is the how." How exactly are you planning to fake your death? I leaned forward. The doctors say I have 2 to 3 months. You said you have about 3 weeks. What if... I paused, knowing how crazy this was going to sound. What if when you pass away, we switch our identities, just temporarily? They send your body to my family as me. Closed casket, I'll say it's my dying wish, no viewing, and I disappear. Start over somewhere new under your name. Plan my revenge. And what about my body? Rochelle asked. What happens to me when this is all over? I promise you, I said, my voice intense and serious. When this is done, when I've made them pay for what they did, I will make sure you get the burial you deserve. With dignity, with respect. I'll find out where you really wanted to rest, and I'll make it happen. I swear it. Rochelle studied my face for a long time. The machines beeped. Somewhere down the hall, someone moaned in pain. A nurse's shoes squeaked on the linoleum. The hospital never truly slept. You said you had no one, I added quietly. Neither do I. Not anymore. Not really. Maybe we can help each other. I had a husband once, Rochelle said suddenly, her voice softer now. Tyrone Bennett, best man I ever knew. He died 15 years ago in a car accident. Some drunk driver ran a red light. I'm sorry, I said. We're buried in different cemeteries, Rochelle continued, because I couldn't afford the plot next to him at the time. Had to take what I could get. I've hated that for 15 years. The thought of being alone in the ground while he's somewhere else, while my Tyrone is by himself. Where is he buried? I asked. Oakwood Cemetery, on the south side of Chicago. When this is over, I promised, looking her directly in the eyes, I will move you next to Tyrone. I swear it on my children's lives, on everything I hold sacred. You will rest beside your husband. Rochelle was quiet again, her eyes searching my face, looking for lies, looking for false promises. But whatever she saw there must have satisfied her, because she slowly nodded. All right, she said. I'll help you, but not just because of the burial arrangement. I'm helping you because what that man and that woman did to you is wrong. Dead wrong. And if I can help even one woman get her power back, help one woman get justice before I leave this earth, then maybe my life meant something after all. I felt tears prick my eyes for the first time since Jamie's announcement. But these weren't tears of sadness or pain. These were tears of gratitude, of solidarity, of hope. Two women who had been broken by life, deciding to break back. Thank you, I whispered. Don't thank me yet, Rochelle said. We've got a lot of planning to do and not much time. Now help me sit up. My back is killing me. And then you're going to tell me every single detail of this plan of yours. Over the next 2 weeks, Rochelle and I became the most unlikely friends. Every night when the hospital quieted down and the overnight nurses were busy with other patients, I would shuffle next door and we would talk. We worked out every detail, every possible problem, every contingency plan. Rochelle gave me all her paperwork, her IDs, her sparse medical records, the fact that she had no emergency contacts, no family, no friends to claim her body. It all worked in our favor. When she died, no one would come looking. No one would ask questions. You know what's funny? Rochelle said one night. We were eating terrible hospital pudding and watching the late-night news with the sound off. I spent the last 15 years alone, bitter, angry at God for taking my Tyrone and leaving me here. I pushed everyone away, my sister, my nieces, everyone who tried to help me. But these last 2 weeks with you, planning this crazy scheme, I feel alive again. I feel like I matter. You do matter, I said. You're giving me a second chance at life, at justice. I'll never forget that, Rochelle. Just promise me one thing, she said, turning to look at me with those sharp eyes. Anything. When you get your revenge, when you make them pay for what they did, don't let it destroy you. Don't let anger turn you into someone you're not. Get your justice, get your babies back, but then let it go. Live your life. Be happy. Don't waste your second chance the way I wasted my last 15 years. I nodded, not trusting myself to speak. And the strangest thing was happening with my body during all this planning. 3 weeks after Jamie's announcement, Dr. Okonkwo called me in for an emergency scan. I don't understand this, he said, staring at the computer screen like it had personally insulted him. Simone, your tumors, they're shrinking. My heart nearly stopped. What? Look at this, he said, pointing to the screen. This tumor on your liver. It was 8 centimeters 3 weeks ago. Now it's down to 4. And this one on your lung. It's decreased by 60%. The bone metastases are showing signs of healing. This doesn't make medical sense. You weren't responding to treatment before. You should be getting worse, not better. I stared at the glowing images on the screen. My tumors, getting smaller. Does this mean? I started, afraid to hope. I don't want to make any promises. Dr. Okonkwo interrupted quickly, his professional caution kicking in. This could be a temporary remission. It could reverse just as quickly as it appeared. We've seen cases like this before. The body rallies for a short time before declining rapidly. But Simone, this is good news. Unexplainable, unusual, but good news. After he left, I sat alone in the examination room, staring at my hands. They didn't shake as much anymore. My skin looked better. Less gray, more alive. Rage had saved my life. The desire for revenge, the burning need to see justice done. It had done what chemotherapy couldn't. My body had decided it wasn't ready to die yet because my mind had unfinished business. But this presented a problem. If I was getting better, the plan wouldn't work as smoothly. They needed everyone to believe I had died. Dr. Okonkwo would never sign off on a death certificate for a patient who was improving. That night, I told Rochelle about the scans. That's wonderful news, baby, Rochelle said, and I could see genuine happiness in her eyes. You're going to beat this thing. You're going to live. But the plan, I started. Forget the plan, Rochelle interrupted firmly. You've got a second chance at life, a real one. Take it. Go home to your babies. Watch them grow up. That's more important than revenge. No, I said, shaking my head. You don't understand, Rochelle. If I go back now, if I let everyone know I'm getting better, Jamie will adjust. He'll play the loving husband again. He'll call off the wedding, at least temporarily. He and Kendra will say they made a mistake, that they were confused by grief. They'll manipulate the situation. Make me look like the crazy one for being angry about their innocent friendship. I leaned forward, my eyes intense. But if I'm dead? If they think they won, think they got away with it? They'll get comfortable, sloppy. They'll show their true colors. They'll spend my life insurance money, move into my house with my children, live the life they planned. And when I come back from the dead, when I reveal the truth, there will be no talking their way out of it. No excuses, no defense. Rochelle studied me for a long moment. You've really thought this through, haven't you? I've had nothing but time to think, I said. And I'm not just doing this for revenge, Rochelle. I'm doing it for my children. Right now, if I go home, Jamie has parental rights. He could fight me for custody, use my cancer against me in court, say I'm too sick to care for them properly. But if he thinks I'm dead, if he reveals who he really is, I'll have ammunition. Proof. Evidence of his character. When I come back, I can use it to make sure he never gets to hurt my babies again. Rochelle was quiet for a moment, then nodded slowly. You're not just angry, you're strategic. That's good. Anger without strategy is just noise. So you'll still help me? I asked. Yes, Rochelle said, but we need to move fast. And we need to make sure Dr. Okonkwo doesn't tell your husband about your improvement. I'll handle that, I said. The next day, I asked Dr. Okonkwo to come to my room. I closed the door and looked him in the eyes. Dr. Okonkwo, I said, I need you to promise me something, and I need you not to judge me for asking. Of course, Simone, he said, sitting down. What is it? Don't tell Jamie about my improvement, I said. Don't tell him the tumors are shrinking. Don't tell him anything. Dr. Okonkwo frowned, clearly confused. Simone, he's your husband. He has a legal right to know about your medical condition. I understand you might want to tell him yourself, but... Does he? I interrupted. Does the man who brought his new fiancée to my deathbed to announce their wedding have a right to know anything about me? Dr. Okonkwo's face changed. I'm sorry, what did you say? So I told him everything. About Jamie and Kendra. About the engagement. About my children already calling her Mama Kay. About how they justified their betrayal by claiming they were brought together by grief. When I finished, Dr. Okonkwo looked like he wanted to throw his clipboard through the window. "That is," he said, very carefully, clearly controlling his anger, "the most unprofessional, cruel, unconscionable thing I've heard in my entire career. And I once had a patient whose family tried to pull the plug so they could get his inheritance faster." "So you understand why I don't want him to know?" I asked. "I understand completely," Dr. Okonkwo said. "And you're right. Legally, patient confidentiality laws protect you. Even though he's your spouse, I cannot disclose your medical information without your explicit consent. If you don't want him to know, he won't know." "Thank you," I said, relief flooding through me. "But Simone," Dr. Okonkwo added, studying my face carefully, "what exactly are you planning? Why keep this a secret?" I looked at him steadily. "Let's just say I'm planning to give him the surprise of his life." Dr. Okonkwo held my gaze for a long moment. Then, slowly, a small smile appeared on his face. "I didn't hear that," he said. "And I don't want to know the details. But hypothetically speaking, if a patient of mine was planning to teach her cheating husband a lesson he would never forget, I would wish her the very best of luck." "Hypothetically," I said, smiling back, "that patient would thank you from the bottom of her heart." Over the next week, I continued to improve. My hair started to grow back. Just peach fuzz, but it was there. My appetite returned. I gained 5 pounds. My skin started to glow again. But every time Jamie came to visit, I made myself look worse. I didn't eat beforehand, so I would look gaunt. I wore makeup to make myself look pale and sickly. I spoke in whispers. I acted weak and defeated. Jamie ate it up. He would sit by my bed for exactly 20 minutes. I timed it, checking his watch every few minutes, talking about the kids, about work, about everything except Kendra and the wedding. "The doctors told me you're declining rapidly," he said one afternoon, and I could see it in his eyes. Relief. He was relieved that he wouldn't have to feel guilty much longer. Relief that nature would solve his problem for him. "Yeah," I whispered, playing my part perfectly. "I can feel it. Everything hurts. I don't think I have much longer." "Is there anything you need?" Jamie asked, but his tone was perfunctory, going through the motions. "Anything I can do to make you more comfortable?" "Just take care of Caleb and Sienna," I said softly. "Make sure they know I love them more than anything in the world." "Of course," Jamie said. "They know that. And Kendra, she's been so wonderful with them, Simone. She really does love them like her own. They'll be in good hands." It took every ounce of self-control I had not to rip the IV out of my arm and strangle him with it. But I didn't. I smiled weakly and nodded. "That's good," I whispered. "That makes me feel better. Knowing they'll have someone." Liar. I had become such a good liar. Maybe I learned from the best. My husband. "Before we continue, I need you to do something for me. Drop a comment right now and tell me. Would you be able to keep this act up if you were in my position? Could you look your cheating husband in the face and smile? Let me know, and make sure you're subscribed because what happens next is going to shock you." 2.5 weeks after I met Rochelle, I was visited by someone I hadn't expected. Kendra. She came alone in the late afternoon when visiting hours were almost over. She stood in the doorway of my room, twisting her hands nervously. "Simone?" she said quietly. "Can I come in?" I wanted to say no. I wanted to scream at her to get out. But I was curious. What could she possibly have to say to me? "Sure," I said, my voice weak. She came in and sat in the chair beside my bed. She'd been crying. Her eyes were red and puffy. "I'm so sorry," she said, the words tumbling out. "Simone, I'm so sorry. I never meant for this to happen. I never meant to fall in love with Jamie." "And yet you did," I said flatly. "I tried to fight it," she insisted, tears streaming down her face. "I really did. But seeing him so broken, so destroyed by what was happening to you, I just wanted to comfort him. And somewhere along the way, comfort turned into something else." "How long?" I asked. "How long have you been sleeping with my husband?" Kendra flinched. 4 months, she whispered. 4 months. I had been diagnosed 5 months ago. They waited 1 month after my cancer diagnosis before jumping into bed together. "I see," I said, my voice eerily calm. "It wasn't planned," Kendra said desperately. "Neither of us were looking for this. We were both so sad, so scared of losing you. We were both grieving. I'm not dead yet, I interrupted. You keep talking about me in past tense, but I'm right here, Kendra, still breathing, still alive. I know, she sobbed, and I hate myself for this. I hate myself every single day. But Simone, I can't help how I feel. I love him, I love Jamie, and he loves me. He loved me too, I said. Or at least he said he did, made vows, promised forever. But I guess forever has an expiration date when cancer gets involved. That's not fair, Kendra said. Jamie has been there for you through everything. He's been the perfect husband. He needs someone who can be a partner to him. Someone who's not dying, I finished for her. You can say it. Someone who can give him a future, Kendra said. The kids need a mother who can be there for them, who can go to their school plays and soccer games and parent-teacher conferences. You can't do that anymore, Simone. It's not your fault, but it's the truth. I looked at her, really looked at her. My best friend of over a decade. The woman who knew all my secrets, who I trusted with everything. You're right, I said quietly. Kendra's head snapped up, surprised. What? You're right, I repeated. The kids do need a mother who can be there for them. And I can't be that person anymore. The lies tasted bitter on my tongue, but I forced them out. I'm glad they'll have you. Really? Kendra asked, hope blooming on her face. Simone, do you mean that? I'm dying, Kendra, I said. What choice do I have? I'd rather my children be raised by someone I know than a stranger. Just promise me you'll take care of them. Promise me you'll love them. I promise, Kendra said, grabbing my hand. I let her. Oh, Simone, thank you so much. This means everything. I have one request, I said. Anything, Kendra said eagerly. When I die, I don't want a viewing. I don't want people staring at what this disease did to my body. I want a closed casket. Can you make sure that happens? Of course, Kendra said. Whatever you want. Thank you, I said. Now I'm very tired. I need to rest. Right, of course, Kendra said, standing up. She leaned over and kissed my forehead. I love you, Simone. I hope you know that. Even with everything that's happened, you're still my best friend. I smiled weakly. I love you too, Kendra. She left, and I lay there staring at the ceiling, feeling absolutely nothing. No anger, no sadness, just a cold, calculating determination. She believed me. They both believed I was broken, defeated, ready to give up. They had no idea what was coming. That night, Rochelle called me to her room. I knew before I even walked in. I could feel it. The air felt different. Heavier. She was lying in her bed, her breathing shallow and labored. Her skin had taken on a grayish tone. This was it. The end. Simone, she whispered when she saw me. I rushed to her bedside, taking her hand. It's happening, she said. Tonight, I can feel it. No, I said, even though I knew it was useless. Not yet. We have more planning to do. I still need you. You don't need me, Rochelle said, smiling weakly. You're stronger than you think, baby girl. You're going to do this. You're going to get your life back, your baby's back. I'm scared, I admitted, tears streaming down my face. Good, Rochelle said. Scared means you're human. But don't let fear stop you. Promise me. I promise, I whispered. Remember what I said, Rochelle continued, her voice getting weaker. Get your justice. But don't let it consume you. Don't become bitter like I did. Live your life. Be happy. That's the real revenge. Living well. I'll remember, I said. And Simone? Yes? Thank you, Rochelle said. Thank you for making me matter again, for giving my death meaning, for making sure I'll rest beside my Tyrone. Oakwood Cemetery, I promised. Right next to him. I swear it. Rochelle smiled. Then I can go in peace. Her eyes closed. Her breathing slowed. And at 2:47 a.m. on a Saturday morning, Rochelle Bennett took her last breath. I sat there holding the hand of a woman I had known for less than a month, crying harder than I had cried since my diagnosis. Crying for Rochelle. For myself. For the innocence I had lost when I learned that the people you love most can hurt you the worst. But I didn't have much time to grieve. The plan was in motion now. I pressed the call button. When the night nurse came in and saw Rochelle's still body, she immediately called for the on-call doctor. Dr. Patterson, a young resident who worked the overnight shift, came in and officially pronounced Rochelle dead at 2:52 a.m. He barely looked at me, standing in the corner in my robe and headscarf crying quietly. To him, I was just another cancer patient mourning another death. The oncology ward saw death almost every day. After they took Rochelle's body to the morgue, I went back to my room and waited. This was it, the point of no return. Over the next 3 days, I worked carefully and methodically. I had been studying the hospital's routines for weeks. I knew when the shifts changed. I knew which nurses paid attention and which ones were just going through the motions. I knew exactly when I would have windows of opportunity. Late at night, when the hospital was quietest, I snuck down to the records department. I had been watching. There was a 1-hour window between midnight and 1 a.m. when only one clerk was on duty, and that clerk spent most of their time on their phone. I waited until they went to the bathroom, then slipped into the office. I found my file and Rochelle's file. With hands that had stopped shaking, I was so much stronger now. I switched key documents, added notes to my file indicating rapid decline, altered some dates, made it look like I was deteriorating fast. When I was done, according to hospital records, Simone Wallace was terminal with days, not months, to live. The next day, I spoke to Dr. Okonkwo about updating my end-of-life wishes. "I've been thinking a lot about my funeral," I said. "I don't want a viewing. I don't want people staring at what this disease has done to my body. I want them to remember me as I was, healthy and happy. I want a closed casket. Can you put that in my file?" Dr. Okonkwo looked sad but understanding. "Of course, Simone. I'll make a note. Is there anything else?" "No," I said. "That's all. Thank you, doctor." Everything was in place. Now I just had to wait for the right moment. 3 days after Rochelle died, I made my move. It was 3 a.m. on a Tuesday. The overnight shift was understaffed. 2 nurses for the entire oncology floor. I had been tracking their movements. I knew I had a window. I got up and went to the supply room. Over the past week, I had been stealing small amounts of medication. Nothing that would be missed from the inventory. Nothing dangerous. Just enough to slow my heart rate and breathing to dangerous levels without actually killing me. I took the pills, went back to my bed, and waited. 20 minutes later, my heart rate started to drop. The monitor began to beep, slow at first, then more urgently. The nurse came running. "Mrs. Wallace?" She shook my shoulder. I didn't respond. I had practiced this. Staying limp, barely breathing, looking dead without actually being dead. The nurse hit the code button. Dr. Patterson came running. They started working on me, but the drugs I had taken made my body non-responsive just enough. After 15 minutes of trying to revive me, Dr. Patterson looked at the clock. Time of death, 3:34 a.m. The nurse looked sad, but not surprised. Another death in the oncology ward. Nothing unusual. They covered me with a sheet and left my body in the room to be transported to the morgue in the morning. As soon as they were gone, my eyes opened beneath the sheet. I had done it. According to Chicago Memorial Hospital, Simone Wallace was officially. The morgue was cold. Absolutely freezing. Which made sense, I suppose. Dead bodies don't complain about the temperature. But I wasn't dead. I lay perfectly still on the metal table under a white sheet, listening to the morgue attendant's footsteps echo as he walked around doing whatever morgue attendants do at 4 in the morning. My heart was beating so slowly from the medication that I wasn't sure the sound would even register on equipment if they checked. But they wouldn't check. Why would they? Dr. Patterson had officially pronounced me dead. The paperwork was done. I was just another body waiting to be processed. After what felt like hours, but was probably only 30 minutes, I heard the attendant leave. The heavy door closed with a soft thud. Silence. I waited. Counted to 100. Then 200. Just to be sure. Then, slowly, carefully, I pulled the sheet off my face and sat up. The morgue was dimly lit by emergency lighting. Rows of metal tables, cabinets along the walls, the smell of disinfectant so strong it burned my nose. And cold. So incredibly cold. I swung my legs off the table. My body was weak from the drugs, but I was getting stronger every day. The cancer that had been killing me was retreating. I still couldn't believe it. Rage and spite had literally saved my life. I had left clothes hidden in the morgue earlier that week during one of my late-night walks through the hospital. One of the cleaning staff had left a supply closet unlocked, and I had stashed a bag behind some boxes. Black leggings, a black hoodie, a baseball cap. Cash I had been saving from the small amounts Jamie gave me for personal items. It wasn't much, but it was enough. I changed quickly, my hands shaking from cold and adrenaline. Then I found Rochelle's body. She was in one of the refrigerated drawers, her name on a tag. "I'm so sorry," I whispered, pulling the drawer open. "But thank you. Thank you for giving me this chance." I had memorized her information, had practiced signing her name. Rochelle Marie Bennett, born March 15, 1959. No known relatives, no emergency contacts. A ghost in life who would help me become a ghost in death. I switched our hospital bracelets. Mine went on her wrist. Hers went on mine. The morgue workers would see Simone Wallace and process the body accordingly. And Rochelle, her body would be sent to my family as me. "I promise," I said, looking at her peaceful face one last time. "When this is over, you'll rest next to Tyrone." "I swear it." Then I closed the drawer and walked out of the morgue through the service exit, leaving Simone Wallace behind. The Chicago night air hit me like a slap. It was late April, still chilly, but I had never tasted anything so sweet. Freedom. The city stretched out before me, huge and anonymous and perfect for disappearing. I pulled my hood up and started walking. I couldn't go home. Obviously. I couldn't go to any friends, though honestly, Kendra had been my only close friend, and we saw how that turned out. I couldn't use my credit cards or access my bank account. Simone Wallace was dead, and dead people don't make ATM withdrawals. But I had planned for this. Over the past week, I had been preparing. There was a storage unit on the north side of Chicago that I had rented under Rochelle's name before she died. She had given me her ID, her social security number, everything I needed. In that unit, I had stored some of my clothes, some cash I had been slowly withdrawing from my personal account before I died, and a burner phone. It took me 2 hours to walk there. 2 hours of keeping my head down, avoiding security cameras, staying in the shadows. My body was tired. I was still recovering from months of chemo. But my mind was sharp, focused, alive. When I finally reached the storage facility and opened the unit, I nearly cried with relief. Everything was there, exactly as I had left it. I sat down on the floor, leaning against a box, and let myself feel it. Really feel it. I had done it. I had actually faked my own death. Now came the hard part. The next morning, well, technically later that same morning, the hospital called Jamie to inform him that his wife had passed away at 3:34 a.m. I know because I was listening. I had set up a small surveillance system before I died. Nothing fancy, just a voice-activated recorder hidden in our bedroom at home. The kind people use for recording lectures. I had planted it weeks ago, tucked behind a picture frame on the dresser. The burner phone I had stored in the unit was connected to that recorder through an app. I could listen to everything happening in my bedroom in real time. I sat in that cold storage unit, wrapped in a blanket, listening to my husband receive the news of my death. "Mr. Wallace?" A woman's voice. Probably a hospital administrator. "This is Chicago Memorial Hospital. I'm very sorry to inform you that your wife, Simone Wallace, passed away this morning at 3:34 a.m. We did everything we could to make her comfortable. I'm so very sorry for your loss." Silence. I held my breath, waiting. Then I heard it. Jamie's voice. "Oh," he said, just that. "Oh. Mr. Wallace, are you all right?" the woman asked. "Is there someone there with you? Do you need a moment?" "No, I'm fine," Jamie said, and I could hear him composing himself, putting on the appropriate grieving husband voice. "Thank you for calling. What do I need to do? What are the next steps?" They discussed logistics, collecting the body, funeral arrangements, paperwork. Jamie's voice was steady throughout, professional, like he was handling a business transaction. When he hung up, I waited to hear what he would do when he thought no one was listening. I heard footsteps, a door opening. Then Jamie's voice, excited and breathless. Kendra, wake up, she's gone, Simone's gone." Kendra was sleeping in my house, in my bed, while I was supposedly dying in the hospital. "What?" Kendra's voice groggy. What time is it? It doesn't matter. She died. A few hours ago. The hospital just called. A pause. Then Kendra spoke, her voice more awake now. Oh my God. Jamie, are you okay? I'm fine, Jamie said. God, Kendra, I know this sounds terrible, but I'm relieved. Is that awful? I'm relieved. No, Kendra said softly. No, it's not awful. You've been carrying this burden for so long, watching her suffer. It's okay to feel relief that it's over. We can move forward now, Jamie said, and I could hear the smile in his voice. We can actually start our life together. No more hiding. No more guilt. What about the kids? Kendra asked. Should we tell them now? Let them sleep, Jamie said. We'll tell them in the morning. Make it gentle. I can't believe she's really gone, Kendra said. I mean, we knew it was coming, but still. I know, Jamie said. Listen, we need to be careful for the next few weeks. We have to play the grieving widower and the supportive friend. Can't let anyone suspect we were together before she died. It would look bad. Of course, Kendra agreed. We'll wait a respectful amount of time before announcing our engagement publicly. Maybe 3 months? 3 months sounds good, Jamie said. But Kendra, in private, we can celebrate. We're free. We finally got our happy ending. I heard the sound of kissing, then the rustling of sheets. I turned off the recording and sat there in the darkness of the storage unit, my whole body shaking with rage. Celebrate. They were celebrating my death. Listen to me right now. If you're feeling what I'm feeling, if your blood is boiling listening to this, I need you to hit that subscribe button and smash the like button. Because what I'm about to do to these two is going to be absolutely legendary. Don't miss a single second of this. The funeral was scheduled for 5 days later. I knew because I had access to Jamie's email. I had set up a forwarding rule months ago that sent copies of all his emails to an account he didn't know about. Just a little insurance policy from back when I first got suspicious about his late nights at work. That insurance policy was paying off now. I read every email, every text that he sent from his computer. I watched him plan my funeral like he was planning a dinner party. The service would be at Blessed Hope Baptist Church on the south side, the same church where we got married 7 years ago. The irony wasn't lost on me. Closed casket per my wishes, which was good because the body in that casket wouldn't be mine. I had kept my promise to Rochelle. Before I left the hospital, I had made arrangements, anonymous arrangements, paid in cash through a third party, to have her body treated with respect, embalmed properly, dressed in a nice outfit. She deserved that much. The viewing was scheduled for the day before the funeral. Family and close friends only. I had to see it. I had to see them. So on the day of the viewing, I put on a black wig I had bought from a beauty supply store, large sunglasses, and clothes that made me look bigger than I was. I had lost so much weight from the cancer that I barely recognized myself anyway. Add the disguise, and I was invisible. I walked into Blessed Hope Baptist Church at 6 p.m. and signed the guest book with a fake name. Then I slipped into the back pew and watched. The casket sat at the front of the church, closed just as I had requested. Flowers everywhere. So many flowers. White lilies, my favorite. Jamie had remembered that much, at least. People filtered in. My mother sobbing openly. My father, his face carved from stone. My younger sister, Denise, looking lost and broken. Seeing them hurt worse than I had expected. They thought I was dead. They were grieving for real. I almost went to them. Almost revealed myself right then and there. But then I saw Jamie. He walked in wearing a black suit, his face a perfect mask of grief. Kendra was beside him, dressed conservatively in a dark navy dress, her hand on his arm in a gesture that could be interpreted as either romantic or supportive, depending on who was watching. My children walked in behind them. Caleb and Sienna. My babies. 6 years old and so small in their formal clothes. Sienna was crying. Caleb looked confused. Kendra bent down and whispered something to them, and they both nodded. I watched my son and daughter walk up to my casket, the casket containing a stranger's body, and say goodbye to who they thought was their mother. Tears streamed down my face behind my sunglasses. This was harder than I thought it would be. So much harder. But I stayed. I watched. I watched Jamie accept condolences with appropriate sadness. Watched Kendra play the supportive friend perfectly. Watched them perform their grief for the audience. My mother approached Jamie. "Thank you for taking such good care of her," she said, hugging him. "I know these last months were hard on you, too." "She was my wife," Jamie said, his voice breaking exactly right. "I would have done anything for her." Liar. My father shook Jamie's hand. "You're a good man, Jamie Wallace. Simone was lucky to have you." I wanted to scream, wanted to stand up and shout the truth, but I couldn't. Not yet. After about an hour, I slipped out. I couldn't watch anymore. It was too painful. I walked back to the storage unit. I had been sleeping there for the past few days, uncomfortable but safe, and sat in the darkness, crying for the first time since I faked my death. This was necessary, I told myself. This pain was necessary. I needed to see who Jamie really was, needed evidence, needed proof. But knowing it was necessary didn't make it hurt any less. The funeral the next day was worse. More people, more tears, a minister who talked about my courage in the face of adversity and my loving spirit. Jamie gave a eulogy that was so perfect, so touching, that even I almost believed he loved me. "Simone was the love of my life," Jamie said, standing at the podium, his voice thick with emotion. "We met in college, and I knew from the first moment I saw her that she was special. She was beautiful, yes, but more than that. She was kind, generous. She saw the best in everyone." He paused, wiping his eyes. "These last few months have been the hardest of my life. Watching the woman I love suffer. Knowing there was nothing I could do to save her. But Simone faced her illness with grace and dignity. She never complained. Never asked, 'Why me?' She just focused on loving our children and making sure they would be okay after she was gone." I watched from the back of the church again, disguised, as Jamie painted himself as the devoted husband, the grieving widower. "I promise you, Simone," Jamie said, looking at the casket. "I will take care of Caleb and Sienna. I will make sure they know how much you loved them. I will make sure your memory lives on. You will never be forgotten." The congregation murmured approval. Several people were openly crying. Then Kendra stood up to speak. "I met Simone 12 years ago," Kendra said, her voice soft and sad. "We were both freshmen at Northwestern, nervous and homesick. She was the first person who talked to me in our dorm, the first person who made me feel like I belonged." She dabbed at her eyes with a tissue. "Simone was more than my best friend. She was my sister, my family. When she got sick, I promised her I would help Jamie take care of the kids. She made me promise to be there for them, to love them. And I will keep that promise, Simone. I swear I will." I wanted to vomit. The manipulation, the lies, the way they were rewriting history to make themselves the heroes of this story. After the service, they buried the casket, buried Rochelle, in Oakwood Memorial Gardens. Not Oakwood Cemetery where Tyrone was buried, but a different cemetery entirely. Jamie had chosen it because it was closer to home. I stood far away, hidden behind a tree, and watched them lower the casket into the ground. "I'm so sorry, Rochelle," I whispered. "This isn't where you're supposed to be, but I promise, when this is over, I'll move you. I'll keep my promise." After everyone left, after they threw their flowers on the casket and said their final goodbyes, I walked up to the grave. The marker was temporary, just a placard that read, "Simone Marie Wallace, 1991-2023, beloved wife and mother." I stared at my own grave. This was it. Simone Wallace was officially dead and buried. Now I could become someone else, someone who could strike back. Over the next 2 weeks, I watched and listened. I had planted more recording devices before I died. One in the living room, one in the kitchen. I had access to Jamie's emails, his text messages, his bank accounts. I saw everything, and what I saw made me sick. 3 days after my funeral, Kendra moved into my house permanently, into my bedroom, into my life. I listened as she went through my closet, deciding what to keep and what to donate. My clothes, my shoes, my jewelry. "This is nice," I heard Kendra say, and I knew she was looking at my wedding ring that Jamie had removed from my body at the hospital. "Can I wear it?" "It's not really a wedding ring anymore," Jamie said. "It's just jewelry now. Sure, wear it." She wore my wedding ring. The ring Jamie had put on my finger 7 years ago, promising to love me forever. I listened as they told my children that Kendra would be staying with them now, helping Daddy take care of them. Is Miss Kendra going to be our new mommy? Sienna asked, her little voice uncertain. Would you like that? Jamie asked. I miss Mommy, Sienna said. I know, baby, Jamie said. We all do, but Mommy would want you to be happy, and Miss Kendra makes you happy, right? I guess so, Sienna said. Then that's what we'll do, Jamie said. Miss Kendra will take care of you and we'll all be a family. I cried listening to that. Cried for my daughter who was being manipulated into accepting her replacement mother. But it got worse. 1 week after my funeral, I watched through hacked security cameras, our home security system that Jamie didn't know I had admin access to, as Jamie and Kendra sat at my kitchen table with a life insurance representative. So the policy pays out $500,000? Jamie asked. Yes, Mr. Wallace, the representative said. Your wife had a life insurance policy through her job, and you're listed as the sole beneficiary. Given that her death was from natural causes, there's no investigation needed. The check will be processed within 30 days. $500,000. Money I had earned. Money that was supposed to go to my children's college fund. After the representative left, Jamie turned to Kendra with a huge smile. $500,000, he said. Do you know what we can do with that? Pay off the house? Kendra suggested. We could, Jamie said. Or we could sell the house. It's in my name now since Simone's dead, and buy something bigger. Something that's ours, not hers. A fresh start. What about the kids? Kendra asked. Wouldn't it be hard on them to move so soon after losing their mother? Kids are resilient, Jamie said dismissively. They'll adjust. Besides, every corner of this house reminds them of Simone. A new house might be better for everyone. And the wedding? Kendra asked. Can we start planning publicly now? Let's wait another month, Jamie said. 2 months total since her death. Then we can announce our engagement. People will understand. They'll say I deserve happiness after everything I've been through. They kissed, right there at my kitchen table, planning their future with my money. I need you to pause right here and do something for me. If you're as disgusted as I am, if you want to see these two get exactly what they deserve, drop a comment right now saying justice for Simone. And make sure you're subscribed because the revenge is coming and it's going to be beautiful. While Jamie and Kendra were busy playing house with my children and spending my life insurance money in their heads, I was busy too. I had moved out of the storage unit and into a cheap motel on the outskirts of Chicago. Nothing fancy. Weekly rates, cash only. The kind of place that didn't ask questions. I was living as Rochelle Bennett now. I had her ID, her social security number, her entire identity. It felt wrong, using a dead woman's name, but Rochelle had given it to me freely, had wanted to help. Make it mean something, she had said. Make my death matter. So I was. I spent my days researching, planning, building my case. I couldn't just walk back into my life and accuse Jamie and Kendra of, what exactly? Being horrible people? That wasn't illegal. I needed evidence. Proof. Something that would destroy them the way they had destroyed me. I started with the company. My father's company. Before my father died 3 years ago. He owned a successful logistics company, Shaw Transport Solutions. When he passed, he left it to me, his only child, his daughter who he had raised to be strong and independent. But I was grieving, and I was pregnant with twins, and Jamie said he would help me, said he knew about business. He had a degree in business administration after all, said I should focus on the babies and let him handle the company. So I signed it over to him, put it in his name, trusted him. The company was worth about $2 million when my father died. I wondered what it was worth now. I hacked into the company's financial records. Not hard when I still had all the passwords from when it was mine. What I found made my blood run cold. Jamie had been embezzling. For 3 years, he had been slowly draining money from the company, moving it to offshore accounts. Fake vendor payments, inflated expenses. He was good at hiding it, but I was better at finding it. He had stolen nearly $800,000 from my father's company, from my inheritance, from my children's future. I documented everything. Screenshots, downloaded files, built a paper trail that even the best lawyer couldn't argue against. But I didn't stop there. I dug deeper into Jamie's past, background checks, credit reports, everything I could find. That's when I discovered the truth about Jamie's father. Jamie had always told me his father was dead. Died when Jamie was young. A tragic accident. But that was a lie. Jamie's father, Marcus Bale, wasn't dead. He was in prison. Had been for 20 years. Embezzlement and fraud. He had stolen millions from the company he worked for and got caught. Like father, like son. Jamie wasn't from a wealthy family. He wasn't the successful businessman he pretended to be. He was the son of a criminal, following in his father's footsteps. And Kendra? I dug into her background too. Kendra Morrison, my supposed best friend. The woman who claimed she never meant to fall in love with my husband. I found her dating profile, from 4 months before my cancer diagnosis. Her profile said she was looking for a successful, established man who knows what he wants. It said she was tired of dating broke guys and wanted someone who could provide the lifestyle she deserved. She was a gold digger, plain and simple. I found text messages between her and another friend, messages I recovered from old phone backups I had access to, messages from right after my diagnosis. Jamie's going to inherit everything when Simone dies, Kendra had written to her friend. The house, the company, the life insurance. He'll be worth millions. So you're going after him? Her friend had written back. Why not? Kendra had replied. Simone's going to die anyway. Might as well make sure Jamie has someone to comfort him. And if I happen to become his wife and get access to all that money, well, that's just a bonus. They had planned this. Kendra had targeted my husband because she knew I was dying and saw an opportunity. I saved everything, every text, every email, every piece of evidence. But I still wasn't ready to strike. I needed more. 6 weeks after my death, Jamie did something I didn't expect. He filed for emergency custody of my children to prevent my mother from seeking grandparent visitation rights. I found out through the court records I was monitoring online. My mother had apparently asked if she could have the kids 1 weekend a month, just to maintain a relationship with them, to keep me alive in their memories. Jamie said no, and then filed a restraining order claiming my mother was emotionally unstable and trying to poison the children's minds against their father's new relationship. My mother, the woman who had raised me, who had loved me unconditionally, who was grieving the loss of her daughter. Jamie was trying to cut her out of my children's lives entirely. That's when I knew I couldn't wait any longer. I made a phone call. Lincoln Legal Services, how can I help you? A receptionist answered. I need to speak to an attorney about a custody case, I said, disguising my voice slightly. And possibly a fraud case. It's complicated. Let me connect you with Ms. Delaney Harper, the receptionist said. She specializes in family law and fraud. Delaney Harper. I had researched her extensively. She was one of the best attorneys in Chicago. She had a reputation for taking on difficult cases and winning. She was expensive, but I had the cash I'd saved before I died. This is Delaney Harper, a crisp professional voice said on the line. Ms. Harper, my name is... I paused. My name is Rochelle Bennett, and I have information about a fraud and custody case that I think will interest you. I'm listening, Delaney said. What if I told you that a man stole a multi-million-dollar company from his wife, embezzled hundreds of thousands of dollars, had an affair with his dying wife's best friend, and is now trying to erase his dead wife's family from his children's lives? Silence. Then, I'd say that man needs to be stopped. Good, I said. Because I have evidence, lots of it, and I want to hire you to help me destroy him. When can you come to my office? Delaney asked. Tomorrow, I said. But there's something you need to know first. This case is unusual. I need to know that I can trust you before I reveal everything. Attorney-client privilege, Delaney said. Anything you tell me is confidential. Even if what I tell you involves bending the truth? I asked carefully. There was a pause. Ms. Bennett, I don't break the law. But I do understand that sometimes the legal system fails people, especially women. Especially women who have been victimized by men who know how to work that system. So, if you're asking if I'm willing to be creative within the bounds of the law to get justice, the answer is yes. I smiled. Then I'll see you tomorrow. The next day, I met Delaney Harper in her office downtown. She was a black woman in her mid-40s, with natural hair styled in elegant locks and sharp brown eyes that missed nothing. I walked in wearing my wig and sunglasses, carrying a folder full of evidence. "Ms. Bennett?" Delaney said, gesturing to a chair. "Please, sit down." I sat, placing the folder on her desk. "Before we begin," I said, "I need to tell you something, and you're probably going to think I'm crazy." "I've been practicing law for 20 years, Delaney said with a slight smile. "Trust me, I've heard everything." "Not this," I said. I took a deep breath. "My real name isn't Rochelle Bennett. My real name is Simone Wallace, and 6 weeks ago, I faked my own death." Delaney's expression didn't change. She just looked at me steadily. "Go on." So I told her everything. About Jamie, about Kendra, about my cancer diagnosis and their betrayal, about Rochelle helping me fake my death, about everything I had discovered since. When I finished, Delaney was quiet for a long moment. "Do you have proof of all this?" she finally asked. "The embezzlement, the affair, all of it?" I opened the folder and spread the contents across her desk. Bank statements, text messages, emails, screenshots, the dating profile, the messages about targeting Jamie for his money, everything. Delaney spent 20 minutes reviewing it all. Then she looked up at me. "This is ironclad," she said. "With this evidence, we can destroy him. Criminally and civilly. He'll lose everything. Probably go to prison like his father." "Good," I said. "But there's a problem," Delaney continued. "You faked your death. That's illegal. It's fraud. If you come forward with this evidence, you could be prosecuted." "I know," I said. "I've thought about that. But I'm willing to take that risk if it means protecting my children." Delaney leaned back in her chair, studying me. "You really love your kids." "More than anything," I said. "More than my own life. That's why I'm here." "All right," Delaney said. "Here's what we're going to do. We're going to build a case, a strong case. We're going to gather even more evidence. And when we're ready, when we have everything we need, you're going to rise from the dead in the most spectacular way possible." "How?" I asked. Delaney smiled. It wasn't a friendly smile. It was a predator's smile. "We're going to wait until Jamie and Kendra announce their engagement publicly, until they're comfortable, until they think they've won, and then you're going to show up at their engagement party very much alive, in front of all their friends and family, and you're going to expose everything." "Won't I get in trouble for faking my death?" I asked. "Leave that to me," Delaney said. "I have friends in the DA's office. If we can prove that you faked your death because you discovered your husband was stealing from you and feared for your safety and the safety of your children, we might be able to argue extreme duress. It's not a perfect defense, but it's something. And honestly, once the public hears your story, no prosecutor is going to want to charge a cancer survivor whose husband cheated on her deathbed." She had a point. "Plus," Delaney continued, "we have leverage. If Jamie wants to avoid prison for embezzlement, and trust me, with this evidence, he's looking at serious time. He's not going to want to press charges against you for faking your death. We can negotiate." "What about my children?" I asked. "That's what I care about most, getting them back. With this evidence of his fraud and his affair, plus the fact that he's trying to cut your mother out of their lives, we can make a strong case for full custody," Delaney said. "Especially once you're alive again. You're their mother. You have rights." "Even though I faked my death and abandoned them for 6 weeks?" I asked quietly. That guilt had been eating at me. "You didn't abandon them," Delaney said firmly. "You were protecting them from a father who was stealing their inheritance and a stepmother who targeted their father for his money. A judge will understand that, especially when we present all this evidence." I felt hope for the first time in weeks. Real hope. "So, we have a plan?" I asked. "We have a plan," Delaney confirmed. "You lay low. Keep gathering evidence. I'll start preparing the legal documents we'll need. Custody filings, fraud charges, everything. And when the time is right, we strike." "How will I know when the time is right?" I asked. "You'll know," Delaney said. "Trust me, they'll give us the perfect moment." Okay, I need everyone watching to do something right now. If you're excited to see what happens next, if you can't wait to see the look on Jamie's face when I walk back into his life, hit that like button and drop a comment saying she's coming back. Subscribe if you haven't already because episode 3 is going to be insane. Delaney was right. They gave us the perfect moment. 8 weeks after my death, Exactly 2 months, which was apparently the respectful amount of time Jamie had decided to wait. He and Kendra announced their engagement. Not quietly, not privately. They did it on social media. Jamie posted a photo of him and Kendra on his Facebook page. They were at some fancy restaurant, all dressed up. Kendra was showing off a huge diamond ring, bigger than the one he had given me. The caption read, "I didn't think I could ever be happy again after losing Simone. She was my everything. And her death left a hole in my heart I thought could never be filled." But then Kendra showed me that it's okay to love again, that Simone would want me to be happy. She helped me through the darkest time of my life, and somehow, in all that darkness, we found light. I'm happy to announce that Kendra said yes. We're engaged. I know some people might think it's too soon, but when you know, you know. Life is too short to wait. Simone taught me that. I know she's looking down on us, smiling, giving us her blessing. I read that post sitting in my motel room and I laughed. Actually laughed. The audacity, the manipulation, using my death to justify his relationship. The comments were mostly supportive. People saying things like, "Simone would want you to be happy," and "You deserve love after everything you've been through," and "Kendra is a good woman for helping you through this difficult time." But there were a few skeptical comments too. 2 months? That seems pretty fast. Didn't his wife just die? This feels disrespectful. Something about this doesn't sit right with me. Those comments got deleted within an hour. Jamie was curating his image carefully, but then he did something even better. He announced an engagement party. "We're having a small celebration to announce our engagement," his next post read. "Close friends and family only. We want to celebrate new beginnings and honor Simone's memory at the same time. June 15th at the Grand Pavilion. Can't wait to celebrate with everyone who has supported us through this journey. June 15th. 3 weeks away." I called Delaney immediately. "Did you see?" I asked. "I saw," Delaney said, and I could hear the smile in her voice. "That's your moment. That's when you come back from the dead." "At the engagement party?" I asked. "At the engagement party," Delaney confirmed. "In front of all their friends and family. In front of everyone who thinks they're the perfect grieving widower and the supportive friend. You walk in there, very much alive, and you drop the evidence bomb." "It's going to destroy them," I said. "Yes," Delaney said simply. "It is. Are you ready for that? Because once you do this, there's no going back. Your life will never be the same." I thought about my children. About Caleb and Sienna calling another woman mommy. About Jamie stealing from my father's company. About Kendra wearing my wedding ring. "I'm ready," I said. "Good," Delaney said. "Then let's make sure we're prepared. I'm going to need you to come to my office every day for the next 3 weeks. We're going to go over everything. Your testimony, the evidence, every possible question anyone might ask. We're going to make sure you're bulletproof." "What about the legal issues?" I asked. "Me faking my death?" "I've been talking to my contact at the DA's office," Delaney said. "Off the record. If you agree to pay back any costs associated with your funeral and death certificate, and if you agree to undergo a psychological evaluation to prove you were under extreme duress, they're willing to consider not filing charges. Especially given the embezzlement we're going to expose. They're more interested in prosecuting your husband than you." Relief washed over me. "Really? Really?" Delaney said. "But Simone, you need to understand. Your life is going to be chaos for a while. The media is going to go crazy when they find out. You faked your death. That's a big story. You're going to be judged, criticized. People are going to have opinions." "Let them," I said. "I don't care what strangers think. I care about my children. That's all." "Good," Delaney said, "because in 3 weeks, we're going to give them a show they'll never forget." The next 3 weeks were the longest of my life. I spent every day preparing, going over my testimony with Delaney, making sure every piece of evidence was organized and documented, preparing for every possible question, every possible attack. I also spent time healing. My cancer was in remission now, confirmed by a doctor Delaney had sent me to, someone discreet who didn't ask too many questions. The tumors were almost completely gone. My body was getting stronger every day. My hair was growing back, still short, but it was there. I looked more like myself again. I bought a new outfit for the engagement party. A red dress, bold, confident. the opposite of the sick, dying woman Jamie had known. And I watched. I watched through the security cameras I still had access to. I listened through the recording devices. I watched Jamie and Kendra shopping for the engagement party, planning their future, spending my life insurance money on furniture and decorations. I watched Kendra help my daughter Sienna pick out a dress for the party. "You look so pretty, baby," Kendra said to my 6-year-old. "Are you excited about the party?" "I guess," Sienna said. "Miss Kendra, can I ask you something?" "Of course, honey." "Are you going to be my new mommy?" My heart broke hearing my daughter ask that. "Would you want me to be?" Kendra asked. "I miss my real mommy," Sienna said quietly. "I know you do," Kendra said, and to her credit, she sounded genuinely gentle. "And I'm not trying to replace your mommy. No one could ever replace her. But I can love you and take care of you. Would that be okay?" "Okay," Sienna said. I turned off the feed, crying. My poor baby, my sweet girl. She was being manipulated, and there was nothing I could do about it until the engagement party. Just 3 more weeks, I told myself. 3 more weeks, and I would have her back. Finally, June 15th arrived. I spent the morning getting ready. I did my makeup carefully, styled my short hair, put on the red dress, looked at myself in the mirror. I looked different than I had 6 months ago. Thinner, yes, scarred by what I'd been through, but stronger too. Harder, more determined. Simone Wallace had died in that hospital bed 8 weeks ago. The woman looking back at me from the mirror was someone new, someone who had been forged in fire and come out as steel. "Let's go get our life back," I said to my reflection. The Grand Pavilion was a beautiful venue on the waterfront. Elegant, expensive, the kind of place Jamie would choose to show off. I arrived at 7 p.m., exactly when the party was scheduled to start. Delaney was waiting outside in her car. "You ready?" she asked. "More than ready," I said. "Remember," Delaney said, "I'll be right behind you. You're not alone in this." "Thank you," I said, "for everything." "Save your thanks for after," Delaney said with a smile. "Now go, make an entrance." I could see Jamie in the center of the room, wearing an expensive suit, holding court with a group of men, probably bragging about his business success, his stolen success. I could see Kendra in a white dress, white like she was already the bride, talking to a group of women, showing off her ring. I could see my mother sitting in a corner, looking miserable. She had come to the party because she wanted to stay connected to her grandchildren, even if it meant watching her dead daughter's husband celebrate his new relationship. I took a deep breath. Then I walked through the door. That's where we're stopping for part 1. I know. You want to see what happens next right now. But trust me, part 2 is going to be worth the wait. This is the moment you've been waiting for. The moment I walk back into my life and destroy everything Jamie and Kendra have built on my grave. If you made it this far, you're invested in this story. You need to know what happens next. So hit that subscribe button right now, smash that like button, and turn on notifications so you don't miss part 2. Drop a comment and tell me what you think Jamie's face is going to look like when he sees me. And share this with someone who loves a good revenge story. Don't miss part 2 coming up soon this week.